आपके पहुंचने से पहले 10 मिनट पहले घटना हो चुकी थी। हाँ।
The truth behind gangster's death. Operation Tihar, India Today's special investigation at 8 p.m.
The truce worked out between Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot is just a couple of days old. But there is no end to the sniping. Sachin Pilot, in his first public outing since the peace pact, did not hold back punches.
बच्चों की बात आती है, नौजवानों की बात आती है, परीक्षा की बात आती है, पेपर लीक की बात आती है, एग्जाम कैंसिल होने की बात आती है, रोजगार की बात आती है, नौकरी की बात आती है। वो अगर हमारी प्राथमिकता नहीं तो हमारी प्राथमिकता क्या है? और मैंने अपने राजनीतिक जीवन में, चाहे किसी पक्ष में हूँ या ना हूँ, लेकिन मेरे प्रदेश के नौजवानों के लिए मैंने कभी किसी बात तो रखी नहीं है। कोई भी दल हो किसी का।
Presented by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, Growing Legacies.
Co-presented by Hayfler. Let's reimagine.
Hello and welcome. You're watching the NewsTrack. I'm Rahul Kanwal. An India Today special investigation, Operation Tihar, is my top focus on the NewsTrack.
A gangster killed in India's high security prison. Horrific murder caught on camera. Cops watched as the gangster was stabbed. Now, India Today reveals.
आपके पहुंचने से पहले 10 मिनट पहले घटना हो चुकी थी। हाँ।
The truth behind gangster's death. Operation Tihar, India Today's special investigation.
Is Tihar jail currently being run by prisoners and controlled by gangs enforcing their own rules? An India Today special investigation has highlighted significant oversights that may have contributed to the recent increase in fatal violence within the country's maximum security prison. Arvind Ojha and Nitin Jain from the India Today special investigation team uncover how criminal gangs were brazen enough to murder a fellow inmate in plain view of CCTV cameras.
They cut open the metal bars separating floors, climbed down using sheets, overpowered Tillu Tajpuriya, and stabbed him almost 100 times with an improvised icebreaker. Worse, jail guards looked on as one of the 4 attackers finished the job while the badly wounded gangster was dragged out. As the special cell of the Delhi police probes the blood-curdling May 2 murder inside Delhi's Tihar jail, purportedly linked to gang rivalry, an India Today investigation has found glaring oversights inside the country's maximum security prison that may have led to the audacious killing of Tajpuriya. SP Tyagi is one of the 3 assistant superintendents who were suspended in the immediate aftermath of the gangster's killing. When probed by our investigative reporters, Tyagi divulged that his superior in the rank of a deputy superintendent called him the night before to announce he'd be on leave the next day. Tyagi was asked to take charge of the jail where Tajpuriya and his attackers were lodged. According to the suspended assistant superintendent, the deputy still showed up at Tihar barely 10 minutes after the attack happened. He avoided signing off on any jail paper though.
छुट्टी पे नहीं था वो, उसने रात को मेरे पास फोन करा और कल मैं नहीं आऊँगा, मेरे को काम है, आप देख लें। वो ऐसे ही आपस में पहले भी करते थे, उस हिसाब से चलो भाई ठीक है कर दिया। वो मेरे 10 मिनट बाद ही जा लिया, मॉर्निंग में ये घटना घटी, 10 मिनट बाद जा लिया। घटना मेरे जाने से पहले घटी वो।
आपके आपके पहुंचने से पहले 10 मिनट पहले घटना हो चुकी थी।
हाँ 10 मिनट बाद जो जिसने मेरे पास रात को फ़ोन करा था डीएस ने, अब मैं नहीं आऊँगा, 10 मिनट बाद वो भी आ लिया। छुट्टी पे था और तो फिर वो सुबह 6:45 बजे से 3:30 बजे तक कैसे रहे और जेल में चला गया और तो काम क्यों नहीं किया। उसने किसी पेपर पर साइन नहीं करे, अब मैं छुट्टी पे हूँ। सुबह जेल खोलने का जो साइन होते हैं उसके पास रजिस्टर गया,
अच्छा
उसने साइन नहीं करे। अब त्यागी जी करेंगे, डीएस का काम त्यागी जी देख रहे हैं। मैं तो छुट्टी पे हूँ, मैं तो मैच पे आऊँ।
You heard the prison official questioning the sudden leave of the deputy superintendent of the jail where the murder occurred the night before. Why he appeared at the jail just after the attack but was absent on paper. In Tihar prisons, the Director General holds the highest position in the hierarchy with assistance of an additional Inspector General. They are followed by 2 Deputy Inspectors General. Moving down the chain, each jail is overseen by a superintendent, supported by a deputy superintendent and an assistant superintendent. Next in line are the head wardens, matrons, followed by wardens or matrons. When confronted, the Tihar prison's chief acknowledged that the ongoing investigation could cover all aspects of the case, including the absence of a senior official on the day of the incident.
सर ये कहा जा रहा है कि एक जो जेल नंबर 9 के जो जेलर थे, असिस्टेंट सुपरिटेंडेंट की, एक दिन के लिए उन्हें जेल नंबर 8 की बनाए, एक दिन के लिए उन्हें जेल नंबर 8 की जिम्मेदारी दी गई थी। तो क्या आप अपने लोगों की भी जांच करेंगे सर, जेल प्रशासन?
जब ये इंसिडेंट हुआ उसके बाद हमने उन पे विभागीय कार्रवाई प्रारंभ कर दी है, तो उनकी जांच क्यों नहीं होगी? उनकी जांच अवश्य होगी।
जो छुट्टी पे गए थे उनकी भी?
ये जब इस तरह के इंसिडेंट होता है तो एक दिन का नहीं होता, तो इसमें जांच तो होगी और जांच में सभी पहलुओं को देखा जाना भी चाहिए और जाएगा भी।
Meanwhile, Tyagi also revealed that the emergency alarm system inside was dysfunctional when the assault occurred. Not just that, Tihar's CCTV system isn't efficiently staffed. According to Tyagi, the monitoring is outsourced to third-party employees at night.
अलार्म मैंने जाकर के बजाया था।
अच्छा, आपने जाके बजाया?
हाँ, अलार्म खराब पाया। पीडब्ल्यूडी को कॉल करिए फिर। मैं कहा अलार्म खराब है, यहाँ घटना घटी। अब 10 बजे आओगे, 10 बजे से जेल टूट जाए, इसका मतलब तो ये होया। हाँ, मैंने उनको तेरी झाड़ मारी फोन पे, और क्या कर सकता मैं?
सीसीटीवी कैमरे में इतना साफ दिख रहा है, तो उन लोग जो बैठे हुए हैं उन्होंने नहीं देखा?
तिहाड़ का स्टाफ सुबह आता है।
अच्छा,
स्टाफ जो है गिना चुना है, वो ठेकेदार के आदमी कर रहे हैं।
अच्छा,
उन्हें जरूरत क्या पड़ी? तो जो ठेकेदार के आदमी है कॉन्टेक्ट बेस पे, वे अपना फटकार का सो, जरूरत क्या उन्हें देखना।
So how did the inmates on a floor above made their way down to Tajpuriya's cell? Tyagi revealed the 2 portions are separated by a roof made of mere 2 mm bars. The attackers cut them open with their improvised blades and slid down with the help of sheets.
जो जाल लगा हुआ है वो सरिया कितना बताऊं मैं? इस तार कितना मोटा?
अच्छा, मतलब 1 mm भी नहीं है?
2 mm लगा लो, बस इतना होगा।
अच्छा।
जो नीचे वेल्ड हो रहा है फ्रेम में, वहाँ से नीचे वाले 2 सरियों का वेल्ड तोड़े गए। वो पता नहीं 2 दिन पहले तोड़े हैं, 3 दिन पहले तोड़े हैं, है ताजे टूटे हुए।
ठीक है।
2-4 दिन के अंदर के ही तोड़े हुए हैं।
Tillu Tajpuriya's was the second murder within the walls of Tihar in less than a month. On April 14th, another gangster, Prince Tewatiya, was murdered with at least 8 stab wounds inside. Both incidents in the high-security Tihar in the national capital have left the country shaken. Prison authorities insist measures have been put in place to prevent such criminal events in the future.
जो जेल में हमारी टीम है, वो उनका ये कटिबद्ध, उनका ये प्रयास है कि इस तरह के दोबारा ना हो। हर वार्ड में पेट्रोलिंग कैसे की जानी चाहिए, उसमें क्या क्या चीजें देखनी, उसमें भी बदलाव लाए हैं। जहाँ तक इंटेलिजेंस इनपुट हैं, उसके आधार पे बहुत सारे लोगों को इधर उधर जहाँ पे भी हमारे इनमेट्स को शिफ्ट भी करा गया।
But for now, the 2 deadly attacks have fueled perception that gangs are enforcing their rules, controlling prison life and death. Stay tuned for more on Operation Tihar. A report by Arvind Ojha and Nitin Jain for India Today's Special Investigation Team.
For the first reaction to this explosive India Today investigation, I want to go across to Dr. Kiran Bedi. She's been in charge of Tihar jail in the past, well-known police officer, and she understands the ins and outs of how this overmanned prison is actually run. You know, I look at this, Dr. Bedi, from an outsider's lens, and what I see shocks me. It turns out that there is a senior officer of the rank of a deputy superintendent. He calls up a peer of his and says, I will not be there the next morning, so you take charge. The other person thinks, okay, I can step in for one day, no big deal. And then there is this brazen murder in daylight caught on CCTV camera, and that second officer then shows up just 10 minutes after this murder has been executed and refuses to sign any papers. What in the world do you think is going on at a prison you once ran? Dr. Bedi, welcome.
But apparently this officer knew something which is going to happen. So he absented himself. I suspect that. Otherwise, why would he just on the eve of this absent himself? Which means he's in hand in glove with all the wrongs which are probably happening inside the prison. And the head office and the leadership does not know. So I think this is a very serious matter. It's a failure of an internal administration. You know what I believe, Rahul, is that these incidents will go on till we stop treating it only as a holding institution. We are, when we made the change, we moved it from being guards to guardians. That's a change we made. We were guards. Nobody takes away our responsibility of being true guards to stop escapes. Remember those Charles Sobra's time when we had the escapes? Soon after, there were no escapes as such then. What happened? We became guards. We are all on the top and everywhere. We didn't have the cameras. Now you even have cameras. So you have to be guards, but alongside you have to be guardians. Now you can't be guardians of crime. The problem is that guardians to heal, these are not holding institutions. Prisons are also healing institutions. And if you cannot take the heat of this healing, it will not heal. Because prison for us, at that time when we worked together and worked as a great team to heal it, we looked at it as a township of people who are stressed out, who are angry, who are revengeful, and there were all these mental disabilities of the kinds. So we started to look at, while protecting, while securing, while ensuring conspiracies are not there, we started to create the avenues of releasing the heat. That's where I think, I do not know, I'm not inside the prison, I do not know whether they do. But I think, Rahul, we need to have both this as a holding institution, as a healing institution. And in the healing, you might ask, what were we doing? We were having spiritual discourses. We were having the Brahma Kumaris, women coming in white sarees.
No, but some of this, Dr. Bedi, is at a philosophical level. There are serious lapses in the manner in which the prison is being administered. We've now got a senior officer in Tihar prisons talking about how the emergency alarm was dysfunctional. Now, for something like this to happen inside India's #1 prison, that sounds shocking. And that CCTV monitoring is actually outsourced at night to a third-party vendor who may or may not actually be tracking it, because for them it's just a contract which they're executing. They couldn't care about whether something goes wrong, and even if it does, it's really, water off their back.
I did not know that this CCTV watch has been outsourced to third. Even if it is outsourced and you need the technical management, we got companies we got software expertise now, which will actually make a capsule for the DGP and the administration before before the close of the day. We have softwares which will audit the entire recording of the day. Why don't we use those? Comsur is a company, I'm aware, and there are many others, who will use the audit. They will audit the recordings during the day and provide it available to the administration and the seniors. You will know what has happened during the day. Why are we not using these softwares? And why isn't the third company giving the audit reports to the DGP? Poor DGP will not be sitting in the camera, because after a few seconds, the human eye gets tired. But the question is, today, Tihar cannot have all this if it is well watched, well audited.
No, but this has been happening again and again. This is not the first instance of someone being killed. Before this, on the 14th of April, Prince Tewatia was killed in a gang war. Ankit Gujar on the 4th of August 2021 who was accused in 8 murders, found murdered inside a high security ward in Tihar jail. There have been these high profile murders repeatedly inside. There's something terribly wrong with the manner in which this prison is being administered. Who do you think does the responsibility end with? Who should take the flak and responsibility for it?
The computer watchers. If you've given it to the third party, they need to be sacked. They need to be heavily fined.
No, but they're outsourced third-party vendor.
Yeah, third-party vendor should be sacked. This is his job. Isn't his job to audit the day? And isn't a part of the contract to audit the day's recordings?
No, but what about all the officials of the Delhi police, the Tamil Nadu police, the CRPF, who are deputed inside Tihar jail, whose job it is to ensure? For example, one of the things we hear in that investigation is that the iron bar roof was cut open 2 or 3 days before this murder, and it's rather thin apparently. This is what separates the two roofs, and nobody paid attention. Like, it was cut and then nobody was obviously supervising that area to check what's happening.
I'm saying you have technology. You are on e-watch. You are on a camera watch. If that is done properly, you will know, and you will come and intervene and stop it. The point is, why isn't that? I believe somebody had even covered the camera. Must be a gossip that cameras had also been covered inside the barracks. How can they do this? And if a camera is covered, won't it be known from the control room? I think the third party is accountable. They should be sacked, heavily fined, and substitute to be found. And get companies which have audited softwares, and the audit report must reach the seniors before the close of the day, so that you know what's happened. Barrack-wise, section-wise, prison-wise, you have the technology today. I cannot understand why it should fail us. So I think that's where it's wrong. The third party, whoever it is, should be asked to get out and hire a new one which has proper audit softwares, and that report is submitted to the then you make the administration accountable.
No, but Dr. Bedi, you've been in charge of Tihar prison, but you seem to be outsourcing the blame to the outsourced party. I think the blame here lies with officials inside Tihar jail. For example, one person decides not to show up and shows up 10 minutes after the murder, refuses to sign the books. That to me sounds terribly crooked. I mean, that needs to be investigated. We had that comment from the Director General of Prison, so I'm not going to preempt the investigation, but that to me sounds dal mein kala. I mean, how does this guy know that he shouldn't come and shows up and then refuses to sign any papers? That needs to be investigated. There are matters like these, where phones are being carried in, CCTV footage not being observed. That is the responsibility of officials inside prison. I mean, the third party is the easiest to get rid of.
Rahul, you need the watch and the footwalk. You need the watch from the top, and you also need a daily footwalk inside the prisons of all the seniors, from top to bottom. Top to bottom must walk the prisons on a daily basis. Top to bottom. I'm talking about the senior most when the senior most walks the prison every day. That is a healing. That's watching. That's feedback systems. That's observation. That's sensing what's going on. And that's also inspections. That's also searching. So many things in one. We must have seniors by surprise walk one prison a day. Unless you walk the township, this is a township. And while the camera is watching you, you are. So it's a grassroots cleaning, it's a grassroots security, grassroots connect, and it's a top connect. Unless you combine the bottom with the top, in between what happens, then you are in trouble. But you cannot also give it only to the third party. Senior or some gazetted officers should also be turn by turn watching the cameras. So it should be third party auditing and the seniors available, but at the grassroots level, you must have seniors walking the prison on a daily basis and by surprise. And that's inspection, it's interaction, it's watching, it's testing, it's in so many things in one. Unless you combine the top eye with the bottom walk, it's the camera with the walk, camera and the walk, and you walk the prison. You don't drive the prison. You walk through the prison. You walk the barracks. And then third thing is in between, what do these prisoners do? Between waking up till night, have we got full yoga? We've got to have these heat release practices, the yoga, the spiritual discourses, the prayer, the music, some music, healing music. And of course, you also need some NGOs who come and do some talking with them on mental health issues.
Okay.
Unless you do these things together, you're not doing it as a healing institution.
You know what?
You are holding it, only holding it. Holding will always burst at times.
That's an important point you make. You can't treat Tihar or any prison as a holding institution. She's saying, zoom out. Think of it also as a healing institution, then maybe some of these murders won't happen. But we're focusing on this broadcast on the administrative, the procedural, the security lapses which allowed for this murder to take place. What you've seen so far is part one of the India Today investigation. In the second installment of our probe, we uncover an attempt on Tillu Tajpuriya's life just 3 days before his murder. Additionally, we discover the possible sources of smartphones being smuggled to notorious gangsters within the prison. Here is part 2 of this India Today special investigation done by our reporters Arvind Ojha and Nitin Jain.
A prison too unsafe for inmates. A jailhouse rocked by surging violence. We investigate more Tihar insiders. This man is a cook volunteer at the sprawling prison compound. When probed, he claimed an attempt was made on Tillu Tajpuriya barely 3 days before his murder. According to this cook at Tihar, the jailed gangster's food was poisoned. The inmate got a wind of it and refused the meals.
नहीं दिया, कोशिश नहीं की, नहीं दिया था, आई गया था, खाने में निकल ही गया था, फिर पता चल गई थी उसको कि खाना नहीं खा रहा था।
सुपरिटेंडेंट को पता चल गया था, हैं, उसको खाने में जहर दे दी थी।
ये तो पता ही चल गया होगा उसको, जब पूरी जेल में हल्ला कट गया, वो तो पूरी जेल में कट गया था हल्ला, तो सुपरिटेंडेंट को पता ही होगी। कोई मेरे खाने में जहर डालेगा, मैं आपको बताऊंगा, जब तक लोगों को पता चलेगा मेरे खाने में जहर है।
Dreaded gangsters, mafia leaders, and conmen able to run their criminal empires from inside the various jails of the country. From Sabarmati Jail in Gujarat, Batinda Central Jail in Punjab, Tihar in Delhi. Dons stay connected with their networks outside via mobile phones. Sunil, a jail warden at Tihar, disclosed how inmates possibly get access to smartphones within the prison walls.
हमारी सर्चिंग होती है, उनकी नहीं होती, अफसरों
अफसर ही देकर आते हैं, अफसर ही देकर आते हैं।
हाँ, ये फोन मेरी मत नहीं है, ये वाला। हाँ, अगर ये फोन अंदर है तो किसी भी की भी मत नहीं है, निचले स्टाफ की। कहाँ ले जाएगा? हम तो बाकायदा सरस्वती के समझे हर स्टाफ ने चला.
Smartphones helping inmates orchestrate gang violence and trafficking outside. The technological weapons may be supplied by the least likely suspects in the jail administration. Arvind Oja and Nitin Jain for India Today's special investigation team.
You know, shocking to see the manner in which phones are being smuggled in, the fact that a poisoning effort is made as well, and everybody around the prison seems to know what's going on except those who are responsible for acting to stop it, or they are knowing about what's going on and just choosing to look the other way. Joining us also, apart from Dr. Kiran Bedi on this broadcast now, I want to welcome former Director General of Police in Uttar Pradesh, Vikram Singh. With us is Sunil Gupta. He's been a former law officer of Tihar jail. Karan Verma is with us. He's an author and political analyst, and Ravi Srivastav is with us. He's a political analyst as well. I want to go across first to Sunil Gupta. We just heard from Dr. Bedi, who's run Tihar jail, on what all she thinks is wrong, and which is why these murders are repeatedly taking place and people are standing around not preventing them from happening. From what you've seen in our investigation so far, what action do you believe the Delhi government, the Lieutenant Governor, the DG of Tihar Police, Tihar jail, needs to do to ensure that we don't have another brazen murder in Tihar jail?
Yeah, Rahul, basically you see whenever some mishappening occur in the jail, they blame the overcrowding of prisoners. Now we are having 16 jails in Delhi, but every time they are blaming the overcrowding of the prison, whereas this is not the case. The case is their mismanagement. This cadre is poor, this trained to manage the jail, and to blame this overcrowding, this is blaming yourself. Basically, who is responsible for the overcrowding of prisoner is the jail administration. In Delhi, luckily, we don't have any dearth of money. Whatsoever money we ask to the Delhi government, we are getting the money. So why we are not going ahead of the times and constructing more jails? You see that even when we are having 16 jails, we are still having the overcrowding of prisoners by 2 times. In some jails there is 3 times overcrowding, in some jails it is 2 times, and in some jail it is as per the capacity. So first thing which the prison administration do is to construct the more jails. And they can easily construct the more jails because we are having plenty of funds available to the jail administration by the Delhi government. You see, in other states, they don't have these funds. So there it is difficult to construct the jail. But here in Delhi, even though you are having the paucity of land, but anyway you require the land and you have to construct the jails. Now we are having the jail being constructed at Narela, but you see that the time which it should take in construction of the jail, it will take too much time, means you can say double, triple time, the time which is stipulated for such construction. You will be surprised to see that this Mandoli jail, 6 jail which they have constructed at Mandoli, they take 35 years in constructing the jail, even though they were having the land. The land was allotted to them in year 1981.
Wow.
In fact, I myself went there and took possession of the land. Yeah. So they got constructed the jail started construction of the jail in year 2008, and finally the jail were constructed, started functioning in year 2016, 35 years. You see, I was looking after the work of replying to the parliament. And in every parliament question from 81 to 2016, when I retired, for whatsoever mishappening which was happening in Tihar, we were replying that we are having the overcrowding of prisoners. So if we are having overcrowding the prisoners, to whom we have to blame?
I'm sorry, you know, I agree. This could be a part of the problem, you know, this overcrowding of prisons. But Vikram Singh, what perturbs me most is the fact that there are officers who seem to be in the know. the fact that one deputy superintendent decides not to come to work and make somebody else in charge who signs up for that job for that day, and this gentleman who bailed out then shows up 10 minutes after the murder. Those are real problems. You can have as many prisons as you want, as much space as you want. If the people who are interested to do a certain job don't do it, then these murders will keep happening. It doesn't matter how much land you have and how many walls and how much space you have to house more prisoners.
Rahul ji, you have raised the right points. In any case, it was well known that the corruption in jails has assumed scandalous proportions and is DNA deep. Let us not skirt the issue. The fact of the matter is, to outsource the CCTV is akin to outsourcing the police armory. How can you even think of compromising the basic security of the jail by outsourcing it and not being accountable? The officer who went on leave before the incident took place is something that is extremely suspicious. You use the word dal mein kala. It is not dal mein kala, it is puri dal that is kali. And the person who went on immediately during the course of the murder is a willing accomplice to the crime, and he should be investigated as such. Now, to say that the CCTV, we have technology, I'm privy to the knowledge that Lungi prisons in Singapore, how many times an inmate goes to the loo, to the washroom, how much he eats, is everything documented. And the artificial intelligence enabled CCTV systems, as Madam Kiran Bedi said, that ComSir is an outstanding Indian company that is dealing with it. But yes, we would not like to go to, because it prevents our avenues of corruption. Corruption has become such a major issue, and then to prevent the overcrowding is something that is doable. Jail, not bail, as enunciated by Justice Krishna Iyer. But overcrowding is making a money-making machine, and that is why we do not subscribe, we do not give bail even in bailable cases. The problem arises that we condone corruption. Sukesh Chandrasekhar Rahul ji paid a bribe by his own confession, 1 crore rupees a day, which is more than what an IAS and IPS officers earn in a lifetime. Please see the scandalous amount of corruption and the turnover. Who would be willing to bell the cat? Nobody. You have belled the cat. And let us see that those who are responsible for the prison reforms do take your show and disclosures seriously.
Oh, absolutely.
And you have to be cruel to be kind, Rahul.
No,
Unless
we
you
will
dismiss these jail staff officers.
You're absolutely right. Unless you take exemplary action against those officers who've been, caught out in this fashion. And the only reason we're not naming them and shaming them is because I don't run a kangaroo court. This is a matter that needs to be probed, and that investigation needs to demonstrate what happened. That is important. But Karan Verma, this aspect that Vikram Singh just brings out, outsourcing CCTV footage, and the fact that officials are just looking away, not doing their job, something is terribly rotten. And he suggests that the contracts aren't being given to the right companies because that would very naturally cut down on avenues for corruption.
Rahul, thanks for having me on your show. Well, as someone who runs CCTV as well as sound installations at some very key places, I think I can speak with some conviction at my command here. Never is it outsourced, and even if it's outsourced, the officer responsible has to be monitoring there all the time. I mean, he's the client and the third party is the vendor. In this case, was an annual maintenance contract given to a vendor? That is the first question. Secondly, did the vendor stock? You always have buffer stock. In case there is a malfunction at such key places, you always have a buffer stock. Was a complaint flagged by the officer on duty? Because in such places, you cannot have even a second of a lapse. It's immediately raised, and it's raised at the level of the PWD also. Which officer of PWD was responsible for ensuring that the third party vendor was on time and had a prompt service backup? These are questions that need to be asked. And secondly, from a very long time here, I've seen Tihar being treated as a personal fiefdom by the Delhi government. I mean, the Delhi government is responsible for the administration. We have a Delhi minister right now, Mr. Saurabh Bhardwaj, who's on record saying, चले जाओ तिहार में हमारा ही जेल है, कोई डरने की बात नहीं है. We cannot have such irresponsible rhetoric. We saw what happened in Satyendra Jain's case, where massages were given, and he was the jail minister at that time, for crying out loud. In 2022, the Supreme Court had to play literally broker between the MHA and the Delhi government and say that you guys need to sort this out. We cannot have Tihar being reduced to a personal fiefdom. That was raised when the promoters of Unitech were having their meetings and business meetings there.
Respond to the point that Karan Verma is making,
needs to be answered by Saurabh Bhardwaj
about the role of the Aam Aadmi Party, which is responsible for running the Delhi Tihar jail, and the fact that on your watch all these mishappenings are going on inside the prison, and the fact that the government seems too distracted to be able to run the prison efficiently?
On the Delhi government has no role, no role in the day-to-day run Tihar jail. Tihar jail is a township of some 20,000 criminals and is an entity in it. All officers there from the different streets. Majority come from the Delhi police, who go to the Ministry of Home Affairs via LG of Delhi.
Now, it is not happening the first time. I would say that the entire rank and file of Tihar jail is corrupt, bribe taker, and many of them are politically motivated as well. This does not happen, in a day or two. There has been Chandrasekhar, who was writing letters every day, sending to via the BJP people, giving it to the media channels. There was, Sanjay Chandra, who was running an extortion racket from the jail. There was Lawrence Vishnoi, who is planning all the murders in Punjab, right sitting in the jail. So all those such criminal characters are there, and the police is a mute spectator to the whole thing. I would not say mute spectator without any reason. It's all for money. In Tihar jail, everything has got a rate. Every activity has got a rate. For entering, to exit, for delivering the thing, you have got a rate.
No, but Dr. Kiran Bedi, the problem seems to be because responsibility is diffused. And for our viewers, I just want to tell them that, Tihar is run officially by the Delhi government, but the DG, the Director General of Prisons, is an officer on deputation from the Delhi Police, which in turn reports to the Ministry of Home Affairs. Delhi police officials are in charge of custodial duties. Perimeter and patrolling and security and search are undertaken by the Tamil Nadu Special Police, the ITBP and the CRPF. Now that just seems to be a very confused reporting structure, because so many different agencies are responsible. They can do what's called topi transfer, just blame the other for what didn't happen rather than take responsibility as a collective.
Rahul, just fix the two things. You want to fix the two things. Fix the watch from the top and have it audited on a daily basis. Whether it's outsourced or insourced doesn't matter. The point is, it's accountable and it's professional and it's got the wherewithal and it's got the softwares and regularly audited. Number one, fix it from the top, fix it from the bottom, walk it every day. Let the seniors walk it every day and then review what's happening during the day. You will not have these problems. How many people will you keep transferring? How many people will you keep suspending? Because you will have all these people of the same mentality inside. They're angry, they're revengeful. They are wanting to hit and murder. The only thing is you have to diffuse. You got to take that anger out. Now, third thing in between, waking up to sleeping, you got to find ways by which you keep them engaged into other activities which heal their mind. So watch, don't relax the watch, don't miss the audit, walk the talk, walk below, and number two, in between, have activities which engage them and heal them. You want to have them heal. So hold and heal. Unless you hold and heal and use technology and human technology, bottom. And third, take it for granted. You have committed a breach of trust. You created a breach of security. You are dismissed from service. You can be terminated under 311(2) of the Indian Constitution. You are a threat to the security of the state. That's it. There's no transfer. There is no inquiry. You are 311(2). You are terminated. We have done this. During the time Sunil Gupta is there with you, he'll tell you how we were terminating constables and many others who were involved in drug selling, drug payers. And they took us to the Supreme Court. We terminated them, they took us to the court. Court upheld this decision. So why have inquiries? Terminate them out.
Vikram Singh, do you agree with Dr. Bedi? She's saying take stringent, exemplary action so that a message goes out in the system that this is unacceptable.
200% Rahulji. You have to be cruel to be kind, and not only dismissal. The ill-gotten wealth will have to be attached as per the provisions, not only in the Makoka, but also under the UP Gangsters Act and other provisions of law. The ill-gotten wealth will also have to be attached, dismissed from the service summarily and sent to jail. unless this is done, because we have been only indulging in cosmetics and sweeping the issues underneath the carpet and waiting for a disaster to happen. And this is a total conspiracy and a total giveaway of all the authority and all the administrative power that was given to you, and the nation has waited for too long. Now is the time, because as they say, Tihar needs some sacrifices now, and a major sacrifice at that.
Sunil Gupta, you want to come in on what action needs to be taken? The fact that, you've got murder after murder and nothing seems to be getting resolved. We're seeing Kiran Bedi and Vikram Singh both call for exemplary action. You've been the law officer there. What action do you think should be taken for it to have a deterrent impact?
You see, Kanwal, this is very good question. You see that we are having civil service rules applicable on the prison staff. Nowhere you will, if you go to Delhi police or any paramilitary force, you will nowhere find that they are being governed by the CCS rules. Their officers, they are governed by the CCS rules, but the subordinate staff, they are governed by the stringent, their paramilitary force rule. Here in Delhi, they are being governed by the CCS rules. All the posts, all the personnel are being governed by the CCS rules, which are delaying, which delay the inquiry, and ultimately the jail staff know that nothing will happen in the inquiry. They will pollute the mind of the inquiry officer, they will bribe the inquiry officer, and it takes time while you are conducting the inquiry under the CCS rules. So my suggestion is that they should frame their own rules to tackle this indiscipline of the staff, particularly the subordinate staff, so that time-bound action is taken against the culprit. And secondly, I would also like to add that, as Mrs. Bedi has stated, that they are not doing any audit of the efficacy of the services. Like we are having around 1100 personnel of Tamil Nadu Special Police. They are here for the last around 35 years.
Do you think it's a good idea to have them, or do you think that idea has now outlived its utility? What do you think?
I think now Tamil Nadu Special Police, they were hired here, they were posted here to create a communication gap between the prisoner and the staff. So now I think that idea has outlived its utility, and now they should think further that beside this Tamil Nadu Special Police, they should have other forces.
No, give me concrete ideas. That's a good point you make. Give me concrete ideas. What can be done? You've been in charge of the jail. What should be done? Give me concrete ideas about securing it better.
Good thing you are asking to me. The idea is that first of thing, they are having these superintendent jail from the civil service. These superintendent jail, they are from the Danik cadre, and you know, the Danik cadre of a civil service officer, they are having very poor handling of this law and order and discipline issue inside the jail. So instead of these civil service officer, we should draw the officer from a commanding officer from the paramilitary forces. I think they will better enforce the
That's a very important idea. I didn't know that the superintendents of the jail were actually IAS officers, Dr. Kiran Bedi. That sounds, just as an outsider, quite appalling to me. You'd much rather have an army, CRPF, BSF, or even an IPS officer in charge of being superintendent of a law and order type situation, rather than having a civil servant.
I fully endorse what Sunil Gupta said. Let's get the paramilitary gazetted officers rather than having the local administration officers, because they have not proved it. I think this is a good idea. Have Central Police Force or gazetted officers, paramilitary, or the young IAS officers begin with this, or the young IPS officers begin with their first postings here. This is sensitizing them. Actually, it would sensitize them also, and also teach them gross administration, tough administration. I like this idea, rather than having these Daniks going for paramilitary forces.
Dr. Vikram Singh, your take on this, both Sunil Gupta and Kiran Bedi, who've been responsible for Tihar jail, saying, you know, having IAS officers, and with no disrespect to any IAS officer, is just not the job that is cut out for him. And also Sunil questioning the need to have these Tamil Nadu police personnel in the prison. Do you think that's an idea that's outlived its utility, and who do you think should actually be doing this job? In my view, as an outsider, there should be one body, then it's that community, then the senior officer. They're responsible, and then everyone under them, because it's their izzat, their iqbal which comes into play, and that's how they're collectively responsible. You have different agencies, you'll never fix this problem.
Absolutely, Rahulji. I'm in total agreement with Madam Kiran Bedi ji and Mr. Sunil Gupta ji. And yes, keeping a paramilitary force, and it is an outstanding force, the Tamil Nadu Armed Police, but keeping any paramilitary force for 35 years is a horrible fault line, and that needs to be addressed and checked. Any rotation that exceeds 12 months is no rotation at all, and 35 years is just not acceptable at all. Links develop and then malpractices do happen. Therefore, with due respect to Tamil Nadu Armed Police, I would say there should be a rotation between the Tamil Nadu, the Odisha Police, the the Assam Rifles, and we have any number of armed police forces that can be rotated. But as far as the Dani officers are concerned, yes, they had better be replaced by those whose minds are wired in the right direction and are equipped to the tremendous responsibility that they're supposed to perform.
I can't endorse this any further. You can't have, at a place where there are so many devious criminal minds, people who aren't trained for law and order, people who aren't trained for policing, people who aren't trained to think or outthink criminals. And you can't have the same agency deployed there. You must bring in fresh blood. I just hope that this Big India Today expose leads to an overview, an overhaul of the manner in which the Tihar jail is administered at this moment. Multiplicity of agencies, duplication of command, this clash between the Delhi government and the centre, all of this is creating a very dangerous mix in what is supposed to be India's most important prison complex. And I want to thank Arvind Oja and Nitin Jain for this explosive investigation which has really held a mirror. Otherwise, it's all talk. But what we've seen today is a mirror being held to the authorities at Tihar and those responsible for managing the prison on what is wrong, and then our guests suggesting what could potentially be done to fix things from here. I want to thank all our guests for joining us. I will track very closely the impact of this Big India Today investigation. We're slipping into a break. We'll come back on the other side. Stay with us. Back in a moment.
India Today Conclave South 2023, India's biggest ideas fest. Listen to Pinarayi Vijayan, Chief Minister Kerala, Amitabh Kant, Kamal Hassan, Rana Daggubati, P. Chidambaram, P.A. Mohammad Riaz, and many more. Watch live. IndiaTodayConclave.com/South.
Manipur on edge. A state gripped by ethnic violence. The cycle of tension started on April the 27th in Churachandpur. India Today's Indrajit Kundu and Taposh Beri on Wednesday headed out to the epicenter of the violence. The route from Imphal to Churachandpur was heavily guarded, the destruction very hard to miss. India Today found a village that has almost been entirely razed and gutted.
Barely 50 kilometers outside capital Imphal, and these are the telltale signs of the kind of violence that has freshly erupted over the past 1 week in Manipur. You can see here burnt houses, charred vehicles that are still lying here.
Churachandpur district is home to the ethnic minority Kuki community. The Kukis constitute the dominant population in this district. The Indigenous Tribals Leaders Forum, or the ITLF, which is spearheading the tribal movement in Manipur now, is also based in this district. Any possible solution to the ongoing crisis perhaps lies in this very district. The reason why Home Minister Amit Shah himself flew to Churachandpur on Tuesday to personally speak to the aggrieved Kuki tribal leadership.
The Meitei community is trying to portray to the rest of the world that it is,
Manipur continues to be on edge. The central government has ordered a judicial probe into the violence. 6 cases of conspiracy will be investigated by the CBI. The Home Minister, who's on a 3-day visit to the state, has assured that peace will return to Manipur soon.
Violence, arson, curfew. This has been the story of Manipur since April 27. In a bid to restore peace, Home Minister Amit Shah has been holding talks with all stakeholders for 3 days now. The Home Minister has held crucial meetings with the members of the warring Kuki and Meitei communities.
राज्य के कैबिनेट मंत्रियों के साथ भी मीटिंग की है, महिला संगठनों के साथ भी दोनों और मेरी मीटिंग हुई है। मतई समुदाय के लगभग 22 सीएसओ को मैं मिल चुका हूं। इसी प्रकार से कुकी समुदाय के भी 25 से ज्यादा सीएसओ के साथ मेरी मीटिंग हुई है।
The Home Minister has issued a stern warning to rioters, saying the government would not spare anyone involved in the violence.
सभी मणिपुर वासियों को विश्वास दिलाना चाहता हूं, किसी भी पक्षपात और भेदभाव के बगैर हिंसा के मूल तक जाकर आने वाले समय में कभी हिंसा न हो, इस प्रकार की एक न्यूट्रल जांच और दोषियों को दंडित करने की कार्यवाही की जाएगी।
Shah also warned against keeping illegal firearms.
जिन लोगों के पास हथियार हैं, उनसे भी मैं अपील करना चाहता हूं कि अपने अपने हथियार पुलिस के सामने सरेंडर कर दें। कल से पुलिस कॉम्बिंग ऑपरेशन करेगी और कॉम्बिंग ऑपरेशन करने के बाद जिनके पास से हथियार मिलेंगे उन पर कठोर न्यायिक धाराएं लगाई जाएंगी।
The Biren Singh government has appointed IPS officer Rajiv Singh as the new DGP of Manipur. A special panel is also formed to hold into the reasons that sparked the violence. The opposition is accusing the government of mishandling the ethnic violence in the state.
अब आप जाके वहां बयान दे रहे हैं कि जिनके पास हथियार वो देने, नहीं तो उनके खिलाफ कार्रवाई होगी। अभी तक क्यों नहीं हुई? मणिपुर क्यों जलने दिया गया? सैकड़ों लोग क्यों मौत की नींद में सो गए? क्यों घर जले? क्यों पूरी तरीके से अशांत रहा मणिपुर? इसकी जिम्मेदार केंद्र के बैठे हुए भाजपा सरकार और प्रदेश की सरकार है।
Manipur remains on the edge. There is no internet and education institutions remain closed. Bridging the trust deficit between Meitei and Kuki communities is the biggest challenge for the government right now. Bureau Report, India Today.
I wrap up the NewsTrack tonight. For your time and your trust, thank you very much. We will track the impact of that big India Today investigation, Operation Tihar. I look forward to seeing you 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. Till then, from all of us here, goodbye, good night.
Shreya Saha's family is celebrating. The 16-year-old, who suffers from cerebral palsy, has scored a first division in her Class 10 West Bengal board exam. She scored 502 marks, though she was never able to attend school every day due to her health condition.
उसको छोटा से ही जन्म से ही इसे प्रॉब्लम थी। चलने फिरने में प्रॉब्लम? हाँ, चलने फिरने तो पूरा ही प्रॉब्लम है उसको। 4 डेज तो जाती ही थी हफ्ता में। हाँ, जाते हैं। उसको कोई दिक्कत होता था? नहीं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं होता था। वो व्हील चेयर में ही चल जाती है, उसमें ही बैठ के स्कूल का अंदर क्लासरूम में वहीं बैठ के वहीं क्लास करती थी।
Shreya says she wants to study hard and make her parents proud.
তো এই ফার্স্ট ক্লাস পাওয়ার জন্য কতক্ষণ পড়াশোনা করতে?
মা যতক্ষণ পড়াতো, সময় পেত মা যতক্ষণ, ততক্ষণই পড়তো।
আচ্ছা, এই ক্লাস 10 তো হয়ে গেল, এবার এরপরে কি পড়াশোনা করবে?
আর্টস নিয়ে পড়বে।
A local councillor has promised to fund Shreya's further studies.
हाँ, हम लोगों ने किया है। शशिदी आई थी, वो